The Stanley Parable is one of those games that I came into really not knowing what to expect from it. I mean, even the demo is very vague on what the premise of the game is, and it really just serves as a way to pique your curiosity of the game. And I guess every demo should do that, and the Stanley Parable demo did that really well. I mean, not a single part of the demo is even playable in the real game. It's completely unique to it. And yet I still felt compelled to buy the main game. That's how a demo should work, in my opinion.
8.
Okay, if you don't know the first thing about the plot for Stanley Parable, all you really need to know is this. You play as Stanley, a complacent man working a dead-end job, living a boring life. One day, all the employees in his office disappear, and a narrator mysteriously pops up in his head telling him what to do. And this is where the game starts off. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but the game basically plays out as one of those old choose-your-adventure books, which were the shit back in the day. The voice in your head tries to steer you down one of these paths, but you can choose to ignore them and go your own way if you want. But this is still a game though, so you're clearly limited to the amount of choices you can make. However, when playing the game, I found myself pleasantly surprised with how many paths I can choose to go down and where these paths led to. And even this was before I consulted the internet to see what I missed, and I missed quite a lot. Finding the sense of curiosity and adventure in this bland, boring office environment that suggests anything but was one of the highlights of this game for me. However, I found the various endings that these paths lead to be kind of a mixed bag. When the endings are good, they're fantastic, they're smart, they're funny, and they're generally entertaining to watch and be a part of. And to be honest, most of the endings are pretty good, but there are just a few in there that I found to be boring and confusing and frankly a little bit depressing. And that's not why I play a game. I play a game to be entertained and to have fun, and I just didn't enjoy some of these endings. I felt like I wasted my time. Yet what brought me back to the game after these bad endings was the hope of finding something new and exciting the next time I played through it. That was the real pleasure of coming into this game blind, without any knowledge of the endings or what to expect whatsoever. You just never know what's going to happen next. I mean, the endings could be infinite. Spoiler alert, they're not, but maybe, like, you just don't know for sure. Another big aspect of the game is the narrator. Now, before I played Bastion, you'd have a hard time convincing me that a narrator talking over everything you do throughout the entire game was a good idea. But as we all know, the narrator in Bastion is awesome, and the narrator in Stanley Parable is pretty good too.
Leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
His commentary is generally very funny and witty, and sometimes he's even as confused as you are as what's happening with the game. You know, I gotta give it to Kevin Brighting. He did a fantastic job playing the role, and he really gave the narrator a distinct personality. Unfortunately, he can be a bit long-winded, so during those bad endings I was talking about, it can really weigh the experience down even more. Sometimes he just keeps talking, and I don't really care what he has to say. I tune out and I just wait for it all to end so I can start over again. Yet on the other hand, there's some parts in the game where he just completely disappears and you're left alone in this creepy, eerie office environment with no one around, and I wish he was there to hold my hand through all of it. Is that weird? I don't think so. So despite him being a little bit of a chatty Cathy, I think most people will overall enjoy the narrator more than they hate him. And to be honest, there really wouldn't be much of a game without him. He's really the driving force behind everything you do in the game. You either choose to follow his word or not. And most of the enjoyment stems from the latter.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So with all that being said, do I think the Stanley Parable is a game that everyone would enjoy? No, definitely not. But I do think it's a game that everyone should try. There are a few games nowadays that really stand out to me as something new, and the Stanley Parable is one of those games. Today's industry is so dominated by big-budget AAA titles without a hint of originality, but games like the Stanley Parable will still be around to keep pushing our gaming to the next level. Do yourself a favor and try the Stanley Parable. It's quite an experience.